Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, it's Jackie Cation. Welcome to the Dork Forest. This is a very special Dork Forest. It was the live streaming one that went over Laughster.com. And it was a who's who of people who know about monster, horror, scary movies. And it was done the night before Halloween. And we're in November now, but what the heck, right? So enjoy this. It's going to be great. But let me do the credits first. JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com. You can go to JackieCation.com or DorkForest.com to donate to the Dork Forest. No sponsor this month, so... There's blessedly short that. Feel free to buy merch if you want, t-shirts, CDs, whatnot. If you want to donate, you get a trinket. I'm out of patches, but you'll get a sticker or a magnet or both or whatever I have sitting around. Very lovely. And if you order something, you always get a trinket in the package as well. But let's get right into it. We're talking monster movies, scary movies, spooky movies, and three of my favorite guys. Welcome.
Oh, no.
God dang it. Hey, we were talking for 2 minutes. It was fascinating. You missed it. Jackie Cation here, the Dork Forest, sitting in my living room with Jane Edith Wilson.
Hello.
Friend since the late 90s. Hello and welcome back.
I no longer feel like talking about antique bears.
Again, we've missed out on a window.
No, I'll talk about antique bears. I'll do it. You can't stop me.
I can't stop you. The Antique Bear Talk is available at this time. So Antique Bears, the teddy bear named after Teddy Roosevelt?
Yes.
And so were there bears before that?
Just Google antique bear, like old-timey bears or something.
Just Google it.
Google it, and you'll see some images, and they're very cute. And they're just like a little less... They don't have they all come in kind of like a one piece without the bobbling, like dowled head.
Okay.
Most of the time. Mm-hmm. And they have cuter faces sometimes or like more kind of, they have a look in, just like I've assigned an emotional life to these bears. They have a look.
This is the place to do it.
Why not? They just have a look of sort of far awayness. I don't know, but I don't know. They just look sort of more simpler and plainer. And
Build-A-Bear kind of just feel a little too corporate?
Yeah.
The mine of beardom.
And I like a worn out animal, like a little worn out animal like that. And I also like antique dolls that are like rag dolls, not like antique China dolls so much, unless their little faces are cracked. Those are kind of fascinating to me. But, like I had this doll growing up that my mother had given to me that was made for her when she was born in 1934.
Wow.
And she called, this is hilarious to me. I don't know why it's so funny to me. She called this doll Baby. Okay. And she called everybody baby when she was a little girl, like her sister, to the point where her sister was like, you cannot speak to me anymore, because her sister was 6 years older than her, and she would be walking down the street and my mom would peek out the window and go, hey baby, what's up baby? And her sister was like, leave me alone. Right. But so she named this doll Baby, and then I called it Baby too. And it was this rag doll that her sister sewed for her as a present, like, hello, welcome to the house.
Yeah.
Geraldine, which is my mom's name. And then, so my mom gave it to me, and she wore this like saddest little blue gingham, like shorty outfit. And, and I carried that baby with me everywhere till I was like maybe 12 years old.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm going to actually rise and go get a couple of items. Be right back.
Uh-oh.
All right.
She's actually left the room. That wasn't a Foley thing that happened there, of her pretending.
Is this something?
There you go. Oh my God.
This is Andy's teddy bear.
Oh my God. I love that bear so much. I might have to take a picture of this bear she's.
It seems to be all fuzzy on the back, because I don't know what.
Yeah, that's okay. The more dilapidated the bear is, the better. And then take a picture of him, and then it can be printed out from my Xerox and then decoupaged onto. That's like the basis for my collages. And then I put some knit item, like some decoupaged knit on top of it, along with other original like acrylic painting or watercolors. I know it sounds very odd, but when you put them all together, it's very beautiful and haunting.
Yeah. And I would like to. Have you posted photos on your Facebook?
It's funny. I did when I first started doing them, and then like everything, a single craft I have that people enjoy, it starts off with me giving them all away. Right. Like I start off going,
You like that? Have this.
Yes, exactly. And then with my knitting, it became so ubiquitous, it took over the house. Like I was just constantly knitting and making shawls and making these tunics and stuff that I've got an Etsy account, and I started, this will be hilarious. This might even segue into our next segment. I had an Etsy account, and I was selling a lot of my knit goods on Etsy.
Sure.
Which was creeping me out more and more the more I was on it, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but Etsy became very corporatized. It became, yes, there's lots of foreign money in it, and, like,
somebody bought it?
Well, no, it's just like people, like big corporations, like kind of make themselves look like they're mom and pop stores, but it's just like, everything's coming from Singapore and China, and it's just like not crafty made in America stuff anymore. So
I just heard about Etsy. I didn't know what it was.
And you can still find a lot of great stuff on there, but
it's anybody can have a store, right?
Yes, anybody can have a store, and
it's ETSY?
ETSY. Okay. And it's a really cool way to sell if you make homemade stuff. And they don't take that much of a percentage, and you can, and you can find
like cookies and stuff.
You can buy cookies. You can buy food on there. Okay. You can buy, facial, organic products.
Like
creams and bath
people
products.
Make their own beeswax or?
Yes.
Oh,
canned.
neat.
Yeah. You can, there's pretty much anything that you can make homemade, you can buy on Etsy.
Cool.
But my Etsy account, I was flagged and sort of shut down for a while because I did a thing.
Drama.
Where this is way before I made the crazy film I made that we'll talk about in a while called Janine from Des Moines.
Right.
But before that kind of was a precursor to that, I did a thing where I posed as another person on the Glenn Beck fan page on Facebook.
Okay.
As another Tea Party person. And then I did a piece about it. I did it for a month, or I tried to do it for a month. It wore me out. It was horrible, and there was lots of racism and craziness going on. And then I posted the piece, and David Feldman put it up, and it kind of got out there a little bit. And the next thing I knew, I had all these Tea Party patriots coming after me, and they found out because of my Twitter page that I had an Etsy account, and then they went on my Etsy account and were swearing their brains out, so Etsy shut me down.
Oh my God.
And that's when my politics got me, was my little crafty site on Etsy got shut down.
Bastards.
I know.
It seems like an awful long way to go. This is a classic troll thing where you're just like, seriously. And yet you know that you're at work right now, trolling and ruining somebody's YouTube page or Etsy account for no other reason because you don't like their politics or you don't like them. And
two things that have happened on Twitter that have shocked me is the shutting down of my Etsy account because of you disagreeing with my politics, and the finding pictures of me and my child and putting them on Twitter and telling me you're going to come to my house and give me the beat down because of my political account. Those are two areas. You can go ahead and, trust me, I already know what an old, pale, ugly hag, C-word I am on Twitter, like nobody's business, which is fine, because that's... It does,
the name calling is horrible, and you're just like, did you want me to order the salad? Because that's all you've made me do. By calling me a fat old cunt. Yes, congratulations, I've ordered the salad. I hope it all works out for you.
I'm like,
crazy YouTube lady.
Yes, exactly. It is kind of interesting. Like, I find it, like, of course, thuggy guys in their 20s who really love, some Tea Party patriot guy like Ted Nugent or something. I'm prepared for them to call me a cunt.
Yes.
But when a woman my age calls me an old, fat, ugly cunt, I'm just like...
Hey, 42-year-old lady in the middle of nowhere as well.
Who says she loves being a Christian grandma, or something, and then calls me a cunt. I'm just like...
I'm sorry, there's a disconnect. I don't think you really gotta... I just wish everyone would just, why so mean? Why? Just don't follow me. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's seriously.
I'm easy to avoid. I'm not that popular.
So, Andy actually made me mad the other night and it wasn't him. It was right before bed. He chose to tell me something about Nixon. And I was like, now I'm going to have nightmares because I hate Nixon with the power of the sun. And he's like, well, wait, because he didn't study political science in college. He studied art. So if I brought up, I don't know, some sort of art he hates, it would make
your controversial take on Degas right before bedtime.
Right. It would drive him mad. So I'm just like, I can't really talk about this right now. And he's like, okay. calm yourself. And so I was just like, I can't. What I decided many years ago was that I wasn't going to go into politics, is that I had studied politics for so long that I wasn't going to do it. All I was going to do was I was trying to be nice one-on-one.
You are very nice about politics, and unniceness in politics makes you very uncomfortable. That's something I've noticed about you. For somebody who's a poli-sci major, I'm always want to drag you into it a little bit more. And you kind of go.
You and Liz Winstead, man. And she's like, poli-sci, really? You don't know who this person is? I'm like, no, I've been blocking that person in my brain because I can't, like, Glenn Beck. I know that he's a bad guy and he's not very bright and he seems to cry a lot, according to The Daily Show. But other than that, he just seems mean and may not believe anything he says.
For me, it was more of a fascination, less with him because he's a huckster. To me, he's a character out of a cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, he is following the money, basically.
Right.
Like Ann Coulter is. Ann Coulter, whatever makes it go ka-ching, she will say it or do it.
Right. She's sending all of her money to Barbados. It's fine.
Yeah, she doesn't care. But I'm more fascinated with the cult of him and who follows him and who gets behind him. To me, that is more fascinating to me.
Right.
And oddly enough, I can guarantee you something.
Yes.
This is a funny small aside. But when Nixon resigned, you and I were both living in Milwaukee at that point.
Oh, hello.
And my parents threw a block party to celebrate.
Excellent.
But you were in South Milwaukee and I was over on the east side.
Rebuilding some house.
Yes.
With found items.
Exactly. That's the way we operated, yes.
Back to crafting.
I know how to refinish a floor and...
Do you know how to finish hanging a door? Because we have a door that needs finishing. Andy knows how to do it. He's just waiting. He's waiting for, I don't know.
Anything that was something a 10-year-old girl could not possibly do by themselves is something I don't know how to do.
Oh, fair enough.
However, you would be surprised at what my parents could cook up for a 10-year-old girl to do. I mean, at one point, they had us in front of our house with pickaxes taking apart an entire walkway.
Oh, there you go. Just sort of like jackhammering pickaxes?
Yeah, like we're on a chain gang. Yeah, basically. I was 10, my brother was 8, and I look back on that. My son is now 11. I can't imagine giving him a pickaxe and sending him out onto a sidewalk and saying,
"How about a lawnmower? Could you hand him a lawnmower?"
Yeah, one of those, like, not a riding one or anything, but
he probably has never used one, but he could probably do it.
He could probably do it.
What is he, 11?
Yes, and he's also a kid who loves an assignment. He loves a task.
He enjoys a task?
He does.
So there. Good. So he would like that. That would be, so yeah, I think, I like the idea. Okay. So you knit the items that you put into the collage. You paint the items that go into the collage.
Or I weave them. Like I'll do a weaving thing or, a small knitting thing. Like I'll take.
Do you have a weaver?
I don't.
Like a chunk. What do you got?
Yes. I will do this like, where I kind of make my own loom. Sometimes I make a loom out of sticks. I'm crazy. I have emotional problems, Jackie.
You gotta stop the voices somehow. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I say do whatever you gotta do.
I grew up in a family full of fine artists. My mother is an amazing fine artist. My sister is an amazing painter. My brother even is like an amazing drawer and incredible photographer. And I am a crafty person.
Right.
And I like things.
So how do you make a loom?
Basically, sometimes I'll use, one of those like kitty looms that, you use for like with the stretchy material, but I will use.
You can get at Michael's. I've seen, they're plastic or something, right?
And I'll get like a larger one.
Yep.
And I'll use fabrics. Like my mother has my mother was an interior decorator for many years and she has these beautiful high-end fabrics.
Okay.
And sometimes I will chop them up into very skinny strips and loom them myself. So they're kind of bizarro and really colorful and beautiful to me.
Yeah, like cross patterns.
Yes.
Right? You'll weave them and make them into it. Okay.
And then I'll decoupage them onto a painting.
Decoupage being some sort of shellacking?
Yes, I'll shellac them onto like a canvas. And
what is that? What is the glue that is used for that?
Mod Podge.
It's called Mod Podge? Mm-hmm. I remember the word Mod Podge from 1974.
Yes.
Because decoupage.
Basically, that is where I'm trapped is in 1974.
It was a good year.
With my design aesthetic. And I mean, if I could wear only clothes from 1974 that were a little pajama-like, I would be happy.
As we get older, we can wear whatever we want.
You know what our plan is. You know what our plan is.
What is your plan?
This is what I said to my husband. I said, you better get ready for it.
Because it's coming.
Because this is the plan. Bigger and big, because my eyes are going. So bigger and bigger glasses. I'm going to be one of those people with the big glasses, not only sunglasses, but
mode. You're going to do it?
Yeah. White hair. I can't wait because my hair is very white right now. And my commercial agents are like, you may not have white hair yet. But within the next 10 years, the white hair. Okay. So the white hair, kind of shortish. The big glasses, caftans, big chunky jewelry. Okay. So I said this to my husband.
Coming.
I said to my husband, this is what's coming. Not only is he not scared, he smiles at this. And then without skipping a beat, he points to his own head and goes, captain's hat.
Oh my God, the two of you.
We're going to be kick-ass old people.
That is the greatest looking, cause, if you've never seen Gary Lucy, ladies and gentlemen, stand-up comic, comedy writer, very funny man. He is, not tall. He is probably 5'7",
5'9".
5'9", that's what Andy is.
But he's very cute, so he's
adorable, and a captain's hat will perch upon his noggin in a way that makes you think of Thurston Howell.
Yes.
And it will be, and she wore caftans. They were the best old people.
We
in the
will
world.
look a little bit like Thurston and Lovey, making our way about.
Can he please call you Lovey?
Yes.
He would like to call you Lovey. He's an adorable man.
Yes.
And, so, wow. Okay, so, because I remember I got to shellac once when I was a kid. Once. Oh, the injustice. Turns out it was fine. But, because I never wanted to shellac, I wanted to do string art. But I wanted to do wire art.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was told was so much harder than string art because wire being that much tougher. And I said,
I can't imagine it.
it was essentially the thing that is it was a ship, and the sails were done in wire string art.
Oh.
And I was like, the sails are, it's the coolest thing in the world. And I was like, I want to sail around the world in that, even though the wind could never catch it because it is wire, Jackie. Don't be ridiculous. Have you done any string art or
The
wire?
only time I ever did string art was my character in that film American Zombie.
Right.
That I did
Which
a few years ago.
Andy saw and I never got to see, but it was still a slice of life of the American Zombie.
Exactly. It's
That's
like,
what it was.
it's actually the woman who directed Janine. That's how we
Right.
met each other. And my character was obsessed with string art and she made a lot of it. And because not only because I love to be sort of like one of those actresses that does stuff that my character does.
Is that method?
It's a little methody.
Okay.
But
Wasn't
on
that the
top
term?
of it, the
Yeah.
props department and Grace were, needed some manpower to help make my apartment look realistic. So I actually went when they were doing it and I learned how to do string art and made a bunch of them. And then I made them at home as presents because the crew is following my character.
Right.
And she has certain members of the crew that she thinks are going to help her and other ones that she thinks are against her. So I would make this big production out of
American Zombie.
giving the string art to Grace because my character was obsessed with where she'd come from because the storyline, every zombie movie can have their own sort of Bible of
Sure, like
and-
what the history of
Yes.
zombieism is.
And our zombies in this film were highly functioning zombies, and we'd all woken up after dying, quote unquote, but being undead with no memory of where we'd come from or what our past life had been. So my agenda with Grace and the film crew is they are going to figure out where I came from and help me get there. And of course, in the end, she feels very used because they don't help her do that at all. But, so she gets a little angry.
A way to reinvent yourself, though. That's a zombie that's really someone who wants to start over.
Yeah.
And I remember when I went off to college. No, you want to. So, okay, so you've done, do you do that? Do you go to Michael's and buy like a kit and then modify it to your own needs and uses?
No, I'm like somebody who I buy frames if I see them for sale at a yard sale.
Like picture frames that
Yes.
are empty?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then if I can't find some backing or some paper that fits in the frame, I'll go to Michael's and price it. But I'm really cheap. I'm a big fan of
Found art?
found pieces for my art, and also to me it's a green thing too.
Oh, yeah.
Michael's is full of a lot of crap, that you could.
Sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Michael's, I love you.
Please do not ban Jamie Wilson.
Don't, please don't.
I might need a pipe cleaner. Stop it.
Like I have to say, when I go into a Michael's, the blood starts coursing through my veins a little faster. I'm one of those people that thank God there is a certain part of me that if we are flush, if, I've gotten a commercial and a big thing of money will come in, I know not to go there because I have a problem with Michael's. I don't have a problem with clothes. I don't have a problem with jewelry.
Right, you're not going to get a watch
shoes. I'm not one of those
going.
shoes people.
Sure.
Gary has more shoes than I do.
Right.
But Michael, I have a big problem there because I do think, everything just looks glorious. And every kit looks fantastic and fun,
Right,
you know?
it could be fun.
But I'm kind of trying to teach Preston too, my son, to make stuff from what you have rather than buying a bunch of junk. And he's really good about that.
Well, Andy found one of our neighbors has he likes to put his kids in tiny electric cars and give them scooters, and so Andy found either the motor went out. No, I think the steering wheel broke off of this tiny race car, and they put it in the alley to get thrown out. They put 2 there, and Andy's only taken 1. And he's like, no, I think I can fix the engine, and then maybe I can glue and I was like, even if you can't, when I was a kid, and he finds this very sad, but I don't think this is sad. This is me finding joy in everything. If I would have found that, I would have sat in it like a horse in front of the Kmart and just played speed car in it. I wouldn't have needed it to run. I would have been like zoom, 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 and it would have been fine. And, but yeah, you could. He said he would have to replace the camshaft. There's a lot of words involved for the car.
Isn't it funny when you were a kid? Like, you know, I have to squelch the side of myself that wants to stop Preston from doing exactly the same things I did when I was little. Like if a screen could come down and he could just see footage of me acting like a maniac when I was little, he'd be like with his arms crossed staring at me like, how dare you shut me down? Because I was a complete total daredevil all the time. But the other thing is like filth and disgust and stuff like that. Like we moved into a house that had a filthy doghouse in the back of it.
Right. That you crawled into?
We crawled into it. We wanted to sleep in it overnight. You know, nothing could stop us. Nothing could keep us out of that. You know what I mean? And my mother was like, get out of that doghouse. Like every single day she'd look out the window and see us like crawling in and out of it, you know, and nothing could keep us.
The hilarity of the doghouse. That does sound really fun though.
Snoopy. We'd lie on it without, you know, like.
Did you guys have a dog?
No.
See, we never had a dog either. If there had been a doghouse that I could have pretended we had a dog by going in it, that's what I would have done. And Snoopy and all of it. It's all good times.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're building an immune system as a child.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
That's what you're doing.
And I lighten up a lot now where I'm like, I have this instinct to stop him, you know?
Right.
And sometimes the only way you're ever going to learn is by mistake. I mean, I had this thing where I hugged any animal across my path. Like I would like drop to the ground and just be like, hello, you know,
and they
stray.
get scratched or get bit or just something.
And I got a horrible ringworm that took over my entire arm from snuggling cats on the street, you know? And like my mother was like,
she
stop.
still has all arms.
Stop snuggling cats, Jane, you know, stop it. And I was like, okay, I will. And then I'd leave the house and like turn the corner.
Next minute,
start
there it is.
Snuggling a cat. And I remember like I was so like, oh, I have a disease on my arm from the cats, you know?
Pretty sure.
And so I kept it to myself till finally my mother like saw me getting out of the shower when I was 10 and was like almost passed out with like horror.
Yeah.
You know?
I got one of the dogs in my neighborhood bit me. Oh wait, he didn't. This is a terrible story.
Oh no.
I am not the hero of the story. This is a dog that I tried to befriend 3 times, and 3 times it
and you had him whacked.
He got whacked, but he'd only bit me twice. And the 3rd time, my sister had bit me. And I didn't want to narc on my sister, so I said the dog bit me, and then they killed it. So, Jackie Cation, not the hero of that story.
Oh, boy.
But my sister bit me on the boob. Because here's the thing. I would force fights upon my sister, and she didn't want to fight. She didn't want to fight. And then I would accidentally get a good one in, and she'd be like, well, I'm now going to beat you up because you forced this fight upon me. And she bit me, and I don't know where, I must have had her in a headlock or something, so she bit me in the boob.
Of course, the image I have in your head is of you fighting like this right now. You know? Yeah. And I'm like, no, Jane, she's talking about childhood.
I was 11, Darla was 13.
Yes. It was last month.
It was exactly.
In Minneapolis.
We're both in our 40s.
We couldn't control ourselves.
Completely ridiculous. Yes. And, but yeah, it was, I love animals. Why wouldn't you crawl around? And there was no, because I remember when I was a kid, you could have fun with a stick, and you could, and kids still can. I mean, I'm not saying, I saw some kids playing, they were so loud. And again, late 40s, not always tolerant. And we were in an airport. And so as they were walking by, I said to the kids, quit having fun. And one of them turned to their mom and said, that lady just told me to quit having fun. And she looked at me and she goes, no, I think she's on the phone. Don't worry about it.
And that lady bit you on the boob.
And then
right
that
there.
lady knocked me down and
bit you on the boob.
bit me on
And
the
then you
boob
had her
and turned
put
me
down. Why?
now-
Why, Jackie?
Exactly. She's in a collage in my bedroom. And, so now,
We've come full circle.
So I've had I've had Diva Zappa on talking about just knitting.
Yes.
And now you've been knitting forever. I have a lovely scarf that you knit for me many years ago.
I actually got into the knitting game kind of late, and then I went into it with like a vengeance.
2 feet, full cannonball.
I got invited to, you'll love this. I got invited to this thing called Crafternoon that my old neighborhood.
Why has this taken 23 minutes for you to tell? Crafternoon?
My neighbor in my old neighborhood, Jen Klein, shout out to her.
God
She
love
came
her.
up with that, and we would all get together and do our crafting. And that's when I was totally into sewing. I was into like, making patchwork things. I made patchwork skirts and bags and all this crap and shawls. And they were like, we're going to call it a special Crafternoon, Knitter Noon. And we have a woman coming by who's going to teach us all how to knit. And I don't know why I was so resistant to it. I had an idea in my head that I couldn't be taught knitting.
Interesting.
Because I think of it as like intricate and it is intricate, and you do have to follow a pattern if you want to make something like a sweater.
Okay.
Like if you want to make a sweater on just the needles see, what I do now is I will take knit pieces and sew them together to make what I want. If I want something beyond just a shawl.
Wait, is that like you're knitting rectangles?
Yes.
Okay, because that's all Diva Zappa does. She says she knits rectangles and then she knits them together or
Yes.
sews them together or something.
Yes.
Like she makes a lot of hats and
I cannot make, I think
no, all she does is make a rectangle and then make it into a circle and close it up.
okay. I tried doing that and it looked like something that like a gnome would wear.
You're
It looked-
not Diva Zappa, who can just go, I'm an artiste. My father was Frank Zappa.
Yes.
And so, because I was
She
like,
has a lot of more leeway than I do. It's true.
maybe she has more leeway than, or she owns it. Because I was like, well, what happens if because I know that a big thing in knitting is when you drop a stitch. I don't even know what that means. It's been explained to me no less than 3 times. Please explain it to me again.
That's when you are kind of scooting along and you space off, and the next basically loop that you're supposed to go through, you skip it and you go to the next one by mistake.
Okay.
And then there's this drop stitch in the middle of your pattern, and you can unravel your entire thing with a drop stitch. So the best thing to do is, some people will take it all out and start again from where the drop stitch is.
Yeah.
I will just do this thing where I kind of patch it a little.
I like that. That's
I'm a very crafty knitter, though.
Right.
Like my friend, Kitty Shannon?
I don't.
T-Shawn Shannon's wife.
Okay.
I mean, she's one of those people, like, she's like the rest
Wants
of my
to do it.
family. She does everything beautifully.
Okay.
So she will teach herself how to do patterns and make incredible sweaters and make these beautiful, like, just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make a pair of socks.
Ice sculpture?
Yeah.
There's one of Andy's friends. Whenever she makes anything, I was like, are you doing an ice sculpture yet? Because she's so good at everything she does. And it's everything she does, whatever it is. She made sugar skulls
Oh, wow.
for Halloween a couple of years ago. And you're like, what? What's happening? And it was a cake. And the sugar skulls were the base of the cake.
Wow.
And I was like, who are you?
I know.
It's
Some
so
people
much-
are very, I like to make wedding cakes for people. It's like something that's fun
Yeah.
for me to do, but they're never going to look like they look
They're
on the
going to
Martha.
taste amazing.
Yes. I like
That's
to
what
me,
I need. Up high. Thank
Yes.
you. All right.
Yes. To me, when it comes to baked goods, I don't care if they look nice. I just care that they taste really good.
Yeah.
But some people can do both.
Yes.
And I'm in awe of them.
Yeah, I am in awe of them too. It is beautiful. But I think that those people are rare, and that if you go for the look over the taste in an effort to get to that place, I don't know that you ever get to that place and then I don't want to eat your food.
That's like fondant,
That fondant.
Who cares? Here's the thing. When I made wedding cake for our friends Robin and Mary,
Right.
they wanted that sheen, that beautiful look of a fondant thing.
Right.
And there was two
They're
things.
very tidy people.
Yes.
They like a look.
Yes. And there was two things standing in the way of me wanting to give them that cake. Okay. First of all, that kind of fondant, that stretchy kind of fondant is made with egg white, and they were getting married in the middle of August, and which made me very nervous.
Right.
So I looked up on marthastewart.com, no less, and found a rolled fondant that's made with confectioner's sugar that's like cooked out.
Okay.
And
Stays
rolled out.
together.
And to me, it's like it has no egg elements, so I'm less nervous about people getting food poisoning from a wedding cake. And, but it also has that beautiful rolled out sheet. I mean, it's a ton of work to cook it down and with corn syrup and make it look really beautiful, freeze it, roll it out, freeze it, roll it out. And you have these beautiful sheets. And that's how I made it.
Right.
But aside from that, because it's made with white chocolate that's dyed and stuff like that, it's also tastier. Like that stretchy egg-based fondant, people just sort of shove it aside. My feeling is if you're going to have a wedding cake, just go for buttercream.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. We had a friend make ours. My friend Tammy Suchek made it, and then we forgot to cut it. But the one that we gave away was a Costco. And it was the same kind. It was a chocolate raspberry with a buttercream frosting. I think what cake is not my downfall. I don't know enough about cakes.
I love that phrase.
But I like the idea of a good cake.
Yeah.
And it tasted excellent. And her cake was amazing and very pretty as well because she did rosettes and anybody who could do that kind of stuff. I'm definitely like, yeah, that's neat. But I think it's so hard to. So back to the knitting. So. Yeah. So, and then I did an episode with Jeanine Garofalo, who
hilarious
beads.
Oh, really?
And constantly redoing beads.
Oh, interesting.
As opposed to Diva Zappa and yourself, who are just like, this is part of the beautiful art, where we just sort of fix it a little bit, and then now you have a hat.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I think she said that she tends to start beads at like midnight and work till 8 a.m. Jeanine Garofalo, bit of a chain smoker. So, different human being entirely, but she likes beads.
That's really,
do you bead?
You know what? I don't understand how to do it. Like, I know to do it in a way where it looks really beautiful.
Yeah.
You have to learn things like soldering and, jewelry making is a little bit of an art form I've never really delved into. I went through a phase where I used beads to, accentuate both knit things and hand sewn things that I've made.
Okay.
But beading is very hard. That's really intricate work, and you really have to, Jude Shelton is a bead person.
Oh, is she?
Although Jude is one of those people, once again, who does things really well.
Yes.
Nothing ever looks crummy when she does it.
No, and I think she's an undoer, redoer kind of thing. She's like, we got to make it look nice.
Perfectionistic. It's very interesting. How many of us that are kind of in the funny, creative, performing realm that do crafts, who's like sort of crafty and, this is fine. And who's like, I love the idea. I guess my assumption about Jeanine Garofalo would be that she would be somebody who'd go, let it go, whatever. But she's meticulously taking it apart, putting it back together.
Right.
That fascinates me.
Maria Bamford said that her new boyfriend, that they got together and he was over at the house and he was like, oh, damn it, I thought you were going to be tidy. I'm a mess. And she's like, well, you're out of luck because I am also a mess. And
don't you find in your marriage that balancing off of each other in that department is really crucial? Because I think two tidy people living together is not a great idea. You kind of cancel each other out and sort of it's a waste. Yeah, exactly. And two utter slobs living together. That's also like,
there's trouble.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the barfly of taking care of your house. But, I think Gary and I balance each other out really well because I like to clean stuff. Like I want things disinfected and cleaned.
Ooh, deep clean. You're deep cleaner. Okay.
And he knows how to get rid of clutter.
Oh, see, I'm the anti-clutter. Andy's the deep clean.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, cause the thing is when Andy cleans something, it has been cleaned within an inch of its life. He doesn't do it all the time. I want, of course I would like him to do it more often. I'd like me to do it more often. But when he does, he's up high, he's down low, he's moving things. And I'm like, oh, you're moving that. Oh, good. That'll be great. And he's looking up. I'm just stacking things and I'm putting things away and I'm dusting as I go, but that's about it. So
yeah, see, I'm pile of clothes on my bed.
Yeah.
Pile of papers in several places of the house.
Yeah.
But underneath all those piles is clean.
Is disinfectantly clean.
Yes. But
Very
Gary
nice.
will go, I can't take this clutter anymore. And the best thing that ever happens is every once in a while we'll go, let's have some people over so we clean this place.
Yeah.
That's like terror of judgment is what
I'm doing a live streaming one tomorrow night in this room. I have no idea. Supposedly there's a camera crew coming.
Oh boy.
I have no idea
it
where.
Looks pretty good though, I have to say.
It's Yeah, it's tidy. It is not clean. It could use whatever.
What if I just said right now, like, you guys, there's vermin running through here. Like I just lied about how your house is.
I don't know if you know this, but Jackie lives in squalor.
Yeah. There's just like a bed sheet over the door. It's really crazy. People are coming in and out.
I do refer to it as, I said, we cannot live in squalor anymore. And he's like, wow, do we not live in squalor?
Yeah.
But you can come see. We have a rusted out truck in our backyard, like South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is coming to life. It's a beautiful 1947 circus truck.
Where'd you get that?
It's
were you in the circus?
Cousin. We were in the circus. We are not circus people.
That's what we always say to each other when we're like running low on cash, and and the rest of our friends are grown ups. We're like, we're circus people. We always say that to each other.
Exactly. Crawl into your trunk for bed, honey. So yeah, it's no, it's some sort of it was going to be a project for his retirement, right? Mm-hmm. His Andy's cousin Robert, but his life got very difficult all of a sudden, and so he's had to move to Colorado, and he's left this very cool, very rusty circus truck in our backyard. So if anyone needs a truck without an engine to be in their backyard,
you could probably sell it to a prop house. You know that.
Well, that's what Chris Mancini says, but we'll talk about
I don't like that Chris Mancini and I are thinking the same way about anything. I'm just joking. I love Chris Mancini.
Chris Mancini.
Can you imagine if I just had this oh no, what's my life come to?
It would be so weird. Because Chris Mancini's...
I know, he's just such a sweetheart.
The nicest guy.
I know, exactly. Can you imagine I just ran out of here?
Your fury.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you understand this, but him and his bob have driven me mad for years. He's got a sort of a shoulder-length bob, ladies.
Remember he used to have long hair.
Did he?
Mm-hmm. Super long. That was his thing. That was his trademark.
That was his trademark thing, the Chris Mancini. Comedy Film Nerds, that's what we're talking about. Graham Elwood, Chris Mancini. ComedyFilmNerds.com. They had a book. I wrote a couple of chapters. Whatever. Hey, so Janine...
Janine from Des Moines.
From Des Moines was the movie you put out right before the last election. Mm-hmm. And you had gone to all the different Iowa caucuses. Because you lived in Iowa. You're from Iowa.
I'm from Iowa originally. Mm-hmm. And Grace Lee, the director of this film, who I had worked with on American Zombie, approached me about making this film. We wanted to get further into the mentality of a person who is in the conservative Christian Tea Party faction of the Republican.
That very faction, that
yes.
very narrow slice of Americana.
Which has now taken over the Iowa caucuses as far as the Republicans are concerned.
They show up in numbers.
Mm-hmm. And so for about a year, we were in Iowa on and off. I would fly there and sort of assume a false identity. Mm-hmm. I dyed my hair brown and I wore glasses and I joined a mega church there and started working in the summertime before the Iowa caucuses. I was working for Michelle Bachmann's campaign. And then it was pretty crazy. And
wow, that is dipped.
Yeah. And then as the fall wore on and we went into and what we wanted to do is we sort of had a storyline with Janine is over the course of this year leading up to the caucuses, everything in her life that mattered to her was being challenged and sort of going away. Mm-hmm. Her marriage fell apart. She lost her job. She lost her health care. And by the time the Iowa caucuses actually happened in early January of 2012, she was very ill. My character was.
Right.
And so she was confronting all the candidates at all these last events that they were having the days leading up to the caucuses.
With all of that information.
Yes. And seeing if they had any...
Like, what would they say to a person like that? A person who genuinely exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
at least once.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 100,000.
Yes, exactly. And
those are people of faith and mm-hmm. people of hardworking normal people.
Yeah, she was a nurse, a home healthcare aide, and but because she worked through a temp agency that sent her out, she had no healthcare through them, and her husband got laid off, and then ended up their marriage fell apart, and they had no healthcare at that point anyway, and she loses everything in this film.
Right.
So, even though on the surface of things, it sounds like a very Borat type movie, like people would call it mockumentary, but mm-hmm. we think of it as more of a hybrid film. And we really wanted to seriously tell this woman's story in a very actually loving way. Right. I don't think there's anything, to my mind, cartoony about the way it's played out or the issues that we're taking on. And in fact,
because you played it straight, right?
Very straight. Well, I did it for an entire year. If I had made a misstep, somebody would have figured it out.
Right.
I think. Because I was very public and I talked to a lot of people, and it was interesting. Quite often the press would catch me and cover me like I was a real person.
Yep.
And it was just a very interesting odyssey.
Right.
And so if people are interested in seeing the film, you can see it on iTunes right now.
Okay.
It's Janine is spelled Jan. It's spelled like Janine Garofalo, actually.
Oh, there you go.
Janeane. The reason I did that was because I quite often had to show my ID when I went places.
Okay.
And people would, and her name's Janine Wilson in the film, and so people would just accept the fact that Jane Edith Janine is fine. Go on in.
Close enough.
So it's Janine from Des Moines, and it's JanineMovie.com, and you can follow it on Twitter. And I always forget to say this. I'm Jane Edith Wilson on Twitter. You can follow, and it links right to Janine from Des Moines for my Twitter page.
Right.
Like I say, you can get it on iTunes, and starting in mid-January, we'll be on a whole bunch of other platforms as well, like Netflix and video on demand and stuff.
Oh, good. So that starts in the new year, in January. That's neat. And then American Zombie, which was a super fun. You made that a couple of years ago.
And that's on Netflix.
And that's on Netflix streaming.
Uh-huh.
Oh, fun.
And then we have, I'm trying to think, we're probably running out of time, aren't we? So
No, we're good.
Okay, good.
But didn't you and Gary just work with Hardwick?
He produced, his company Nerdist produced this show where it's called Kids Court.
Yes.
And we produced it along with Streamin' Garage and this guy named Mike Rotman. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Everybody seems to know Mike Rotman. He's one of those guys that's got, he is, James Brown, get out of the way. Here comes the hardest working man in show business. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, every time I turn a corner, somebody goes, oh yeah, I worked with Mike Rotman on that. I worked with Mike Rotman.
How do you spell Rotman?
Rotman. Rotman.
Okay. Mike Rotman.
Yeah. And he's just,
if you find him, ask him to get you a latte.
Yes.
He's not working hard enough.
Yes, exactly. He'll laugh at that. He's just like, and he's like totally my speed, just like Grace is my speed, the woman who directed Janine. I love these like worker bee people. Mm-hmm. Like he's one of those guys where you're just, in tandem, getting the job done. He knows how to hire a crew. He knows how to get shit done. It's great.
So he produced the Kids Court
with us. Yes.
Okay.
And, anyway, the premise of the show is Andy Kindler is the judge. It's Judge Andy Kindler. Right there.
Hello, you had me at Andy Kindler.
Yes.
Okay.
And how do you like the idea about, there's some good grammar. How do you like that? How do you like the idea of J. Elvis Weinstein playing a little puppet bailiff named Bernie?
Oh my God! There's a puppet bailiff who Josh Weinstein does the
voice for
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, so
he's been on the show earlier episode. He talked about food.
Yeah, if you haven't passed out with like anticipation already, then the two of them are having brought before them children with real court cases that they have against each other.
Children. With real court cases.
Yes. Like, for example,
I'm going to call the cops on you.
Yeah, exactly. Two little girls come before him because they've gone out for breakfast together. One ordered pancakes, the other an omelet. The omelet girl had buyer's remorse and wanted to have some bites of the other girl's pancake. And her attitude was, you get what you get and you don't get upset. So she takes her to court for not sharing.
Not sharing. That's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, lots of cute stories like, but they're real cases brought before him, and he judges and he asks a lot of probing questions. As the only Andy Kindler can.
The idea of Andy Kindler interacting at all with children makes me happy. Just kind of bringing it out there. And
it's funny. I knew, just because I've known Andy for a long time, I knew he was the right person to ask to do this because Andy Kindler is really kind of magical with children. There are some people where you're like, I don't know about you. I think you'll be a little too mean, or I think you'll be a little too sarcastic. He walks that line beautifully.
That's so cool because he can't do it with adult stars. With adult stars, he does not pull his punches at all. So with tiny children, he is a sweetheart, is what you're telling me.
Most of the time. And even when he does punch a little, it's very funny and non-threatening.
Excellent.
Like the little girl who said, you get what you get and you don't get upset. He goes, where's the anger coming from? It's just very, very funny.
Right.
And she was kind of a little angry, so he calls her on it, and it's very funny. And, one little girl's driving her brother crazy with her drumming, and she brings out the drum and, starts drumming away, and it's not too great. And he in his very Andy way lets her know, maybe get some drum lessons. Maybe get some of those going, and brother wouldn't have so many complaints.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That sounds like a really fun show. And is it going to be on the Nerdist YouTube channel?
It's going to be on the Nerdist YouTube channel, and starting in December. I'm not sure of the exact date, but be looking for it around December.
All right. So that's only in a couple of months. That sounds hilarious.
It was, and the shoots were so much fun.
Oh my gosh. How many episodes do you guys have done already?
We have 4 right now. Good. And hopefully it will be very wildly successful, and we'll have more.
And more will be provided. Mm-hmm. Excellent. It's super fun. So you're at Jane Edith Wilson.
Jane Edith Wilson on Twitter.
On Twitter. And then there's a Janine Facebook page, a Kids Court.
Mm-hmm. Kids Court TV.
Facebook page. And then you probably have a Jane Edith Wilson fan page on Facebook, or
of course I don't.
What's happened? I'll be linking your IMDb page. And you're my fanciest actress friend, by the way.
The fanciest actress friend?
You're the one that works all the time.
It's kind of funny because, I'm in school right now, along with everything else. I'm getting.
That's right.
Getting my master's degree, and I am getting my master's degree in drug and alcohol counseling. And
you are for it.
Yes, I'm very much for it. And I'm also, the reason I decided to pursue my master's rather than just my certification is because I'm really becoming obsessed with public policy around recovery, especially our prison system and stuff like that. And so that's where I'm
working
going.
Directly with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, are you? Not as much.
But what was I going to say?
I'm so sorry.
I can't remember what I was going to say.
No, because you're.
I know what it is. Sometimes in the rehab where I'm interning right now, people will be like, I feel like I know you. And of course, my thing is, we must have been at a meeting together or something to do with recovery and everything like that. And then this guy literally right before I came over here, who's been coming and doing 12-step work with some of the people in the recovery, grabbed both my arms and was like, oh my God, and jumping up and down. You were on Significant Others. Oh my God, that's my favorite show. And it's so funny how my life, I feel like my life can be very divided and fragmented, and I don't think they cross over at all. I just think, because you hid in plain sight as Janine Jane,
right?
You look like yourself now. You don't look like in disguise. People are going to recognize, and I'm a very character actress who I always have to tell people what I did. I'm never like somebody like Patton, where he's a huge celebrity, or, my friend Wendy McClellan-Covey. I mean, they're just a celebrity. I'm a character actress who gets hired on the, so it's very unusual for me when that happens.
Right. It's neat though, right? And
it is neat.
But it was definitely, it's worlds colliding.
Yes.
And so yeah, you're so the drug and rehab thing, that is so what kind of classes do you have? Where are you going to school? Where are you getting your master's?
I started off at Pierce College, and it's like everything I ever do. I always start off thinking, I'll just do this little thing, and then it just balloons out of control. And so I started off.
Take 2 months.
Yes,
I'll be right back with a master's, my PhD by January.
Yes. Well, it's interesting because I could get my certification right now. And, as I finish up my internship, I could just go take the test and do that and continue to get my hours and become a CDW or whatever. But I had a professor sort of have an intervention with me and say, you have a real passion for this.
Yeah.
I'm in recovery for a long time. You have a real passion for this, and you not just for
do it right,
not just for the recovery side of things, but because my passion is to work in prisons, because I think right now they are just like revolving doors for addicts.
Yeah, I'm against prisons.
You are good. Good.
Yeah, I'm for recovery against prisons.
Exactly.
Taking a stand.
What a good place to put somebody who's a drug addict. Prison.
Right.
That'll really fill them with
help.
experience, strength, and hope. But so. Yeah. So, but the prison industrial complex is extremely well funded and doing extraordinarily well in this state. It's one of my only disappointments with this governor. I like a lot of things he's doing, but that is a big disappointment to me. And I just feel like there should be more recovery in prisons and more people going to recovery instead of prison. And he said, so this professor took me aside and said, you have an interesting voice and a fun voice to listen to on this.
Yeah.
And if you want to be in public policy, get those letters after your name or nobody will take you seriously.
Okay.
And I went, So I'm turning 50 this year, and old lady Wilson with her walker.
Middle ages. How many people do we know that are 100? A million.
Exactly.
Right.
And my grandmother is actually 103.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, maybe I'll have 50 years of doing this.
Right.
ahead of me,
And
so.
you know, if you don't do it, you're going to be 53 and not have done it. So you might as well be 53 and have done it and have the letters.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
And make it effect a change rather than being like, oh, that's that woman who has her certification,
Right,
which
right.
nobody would listen to.
yes. So I think So that's neat. Excellent. So so you still you going to Pierce for your master's or
No, that is only
That's a
community
college.
It's a college.
Okay.
So I am transferring, most likely to Antioch. I'm in the middle of making my final decision, but that's at the top. That's the one I'm sort of the most
because
crazy
it's a full
about.
university with
It's a full
master's.
university full of hippies, just like I like it.
Excellent. That's where you want them. You want to talk to some people who are wearing a hemp shirt. That's going to be great.
Sitting in, 5 of us in a room with our desks all facing each other with our hemp shirts on. That's all. It's the only place I ever
That's
wanted
what
to be.
it's like. So are you working on any current crafts? What are your current crafting projects?
Until right now, I'm mostly just working on knitting because
And what are you knitting? Rectangles?
I'm knitting
to make things?
holiday presents for people.
Okay.
And I'm not making rectangles. I'm making like tunics and shawls for people.
Okay.
And right now
patterns.
well, it's just like the other thing that I've sort of faced, in the last few years, which I was in denial about, is getting older. And and
Because it goes away if you just deny it. As my low back twinges.
it's like, and I have done some very good spiritual work on myself in the last couple of years of taking a step back and not trying to be all things to all people all the time. Mm-hmm. And the thing that gives me more joy in my life than anything is just being with my husband and son. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm just talk about the total dork of mommydom. And it's funny because there's this new movement on of like, screw you talking about how motherhood is so satisfying. I don't know. Like it feels like every time I turn a corner, there's like a new book or essay or somebody like saying
Attacking motherhood?
well, just saying you shouldn't be like the greatest thing you ever did. Cause like, screw you, completely unempower.
You know what? I know what you're talking. It's like I forget who did it. It's because for a million years, I think because there was all these people saying it's the only thing. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing. It's the only thing, which is just as irritating as saying,
I agree.
I don't need to do that. I mean, calm down.
Yeah.
If it happens, you're going to love your children. It turns out a great deal.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, you're going to love your free time a great deal.
Yeah.
So who gives a shit?
It's very funny. Like that's always been my opinion of like, have a kid, don't have a kid. I don't judge you if you don't. And I hope you don't judge me if like I'm a total nerd for being a mom, but I am a total nerd for being a mom.
Right.
And it's like, and there are times where.
Do you know who the only person who might be sad about you being a total nerd for being a mom in the moment? Young Preston, who's like, Mom, seriously.
Get off my back.
Get off my.
But you want to know something funny? Like if he's going through any kind of sadness, 9 times out of 10, if I say to him, let's have a conference, let's have a family gathering and discuss what is, making us all sad. And he will say that he would like more of our time and attention. It's never get off my back. And I am
Right.
ready he's
For the
11.
teen, right. The teen.
Those
might
days
come.
are coming.
Right.
Where he will want us to go away. So the fact that he still wants us very close and doing more family things,
Yeah.
and it's more like he just wants to do special things like travel together. And
Yeah.
so I'm trying to gear my life a little bit more towards that. And I think,
Yeah, I have my friend Joanne writes a blog, and she wrote this one the other day about, she's like, you're told not to judge other parents until all of a sudden you're judging other parents because, oh my God, do some parenting. You're killing me over here. I know he doesn't want to hang out with you. She has daughters. She has 3 daughters. And she's like, he's 15. He seriously hasn't bathed in 2 days. And he's 15. Axe will not fix this. And she's like, and I know he doesn't want to hang out with you. You have to force him to hang out with you. These are the years when his synapses are misfiring and he's a pain in the ass. He shouldn't be allowed to just hang out with anyone. You should make him hang out with you, which will be a pain in both of your asses. And it's so, yeah.
it is interesting when you're on Facebook, the amount of self-deprecation in parenting aligned with the amount of judging of other people's parenting. That's always this balance. And sometimes when you're going down the thread, because I am friends with so many moms, it'll be like the two, and dotted with somebody who really thinks it's stupid to be really into parenting going, fuck you and your kids. You know what I mean? Like that. It's kind of funny. Like they're,
like all three are represented.
Yes, exactly.
You're like, well, whatever. He'll grow up. They're resilient. They bounce, right? I didn't have any parenting. And you're like, no, you didn't notice the parenting. Even if it was shitty parenting, there was parenting.
Well, it's interesting. What I'm learning just from being in school in a very profound way is how no matter what way you were parented, even if it was the complete absence of a parent, like there's so many people who were raised without one parent or two parents in the picture.
Right.
And that needs to be processed as well as any kind of abusive parent or overly protective parent. And it's something that I had always kind of taken for granted. Like, oh, well, you didn't have that person there. Maybe they weren't on your back and it was better for you. But no, there's like a grief that goes on with that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Oh, I bet. I bet there's all kinds of, people that there's a whole new batch of young comics coming up, right? Mm-hmm. And they all come from two parent families. They're either the only kid or they have one sibling, and they were beloved. There was limited to clothing and baby gap. They had full dental care.
I don't want to talk to any of them. I'm just joking.
Well, the thing is you look at them and my knee jerk reaction is, of course, what are you going to talk about? That sounds beautiful. That sounds like you had a really lovely childhood. In other news, why don't you go buy an island? And I'm sure your parents will underwrite it. And, but what I also think is that because of the overdiagnosing of Ritalin and stuff when they're kids, and then they become 18, 19-year-old college kids, they start drinking and doing drugs more often, maybe earlier and whatever. And that cocktail drives them mad. Mm-hmm. And from that madness comes comedy. And there's some really funny stuff happening there. And you're like, wow, I can't wait till you get your life back together. But boy, you got some funny stuff coming up, right? Jackass alert. But it's like,
you know what? It's so funny. It's like every generation is always going to look at the generations behind them and be like, you
guys are so good.
You don't know, It's like, and it's kind of funny too, sometimes too. And I used to really resent sometimes was like, I worked really hard to be this kind of joyful. And you know what I mean? It's just because I'm like making a cognitive decision every day. I have my crabby days or my frazzle days or whatever,
right.
Don't assume, you know what I mean? Like I will not say their name, but like a very famous, like sort of disgruntled comedy boy in my face when I was first in the scene, just like, oh, hello, little Mary Sunshine, and kind of making fun of me and everything like that. I'm like, do you need to see the notes from my therapist? What do you need? What do you need for me to be valid in this
scene?
Is work.
Yeah. Here, look at this face. Do you see this face?
This is a cognitive decision to be this pleasant, and you're wrecking it with your anger.
Please do not remove the curtain. Do not go behind the curtain. You will not enjoy what is behind the curtain, young man. Oh my God. And I want that to be Bill Hicks. Anyway,
no, it
was not. He's dead. In other news, it has been an hour, Jane Edith Wilson, and you are fantastic. We've learned so much, and people who should definitely follow you on Twitter at Jane Edith Wilson. They should go to the Facebook for Janine and Des Moines.
JanineMovie.com.
JanineMovie.com. And at Court TV, I'm very much looking forward to that on the Nerdist channel on YouTube. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Rangers, take care of each other out there. Bye. Well, that show was awesome. Let's do the credits. Patrick Brady, he fixes the audio every week. He also does the teaser videos on YouTube. So Patrick Brady is an awesome guy, and I thank him for his work. Mike Rickberg sang the song you heard at the beginning, composed and sang it with his girlfriend Sarah. He's going to sing in about a heartbeat for the Mexican Hat Dance. And Vilmos fixes my website, JackieCation.com. So support him and his work. Thanks a lot, you guys. Take care out there. Bye.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?